Hi everyone, it's Ayozia here with a couple of junk journals to share with you. They're rose themed and they've been a little while in the making, but I'm really pleased with how they turned out. Each journal measures 8.5 inches long and 6 inches wide, thereabouts. So yeah, so 8.5 by 6. And each one has a hidden spine, a 2-inch spine. And let me show you this one first. So both journals actually a fabric cover with a pocket on the front. So this one has this lovely fabric with the little pink roses, and that's the back. And then there's a pocket that's made up of a wide band of lace, layered with doilies and some more lace there. There's a lace closure, and then there's this rose that's fashioned out of some lace ribbon and some more lace there. And then the wide band of lace continues to the back. So the back is also a pocket, and then there's a tea-dyed lace border there. And then in the pocket are a couple of these tags, again made with layering lace and doilies. Yeah, just really pretty. That's tea-dyed lace, and both are backed with tea-dyed paper. You can write on the back of them. So those are the tags that live in the pocket. And then you open it up, and that's the journal. The inside cover is made up of a vintage napkin with this lovely pink border, and it's like that on the back as well, the back inside cover. And then there's a pocket on the inside cover which is made up of stitching, lots of different bits. There's some calico and lace and fabric, just lots of laces, fabrics, doilies, and even a bit of paper there. And in the front pocket I've just put 5 envelopes which the watercolor prints that are in the journal would fit in case you wanted to send any of them in the post as a greeting card. And then there's a little handmade tag here, collage tag with fabric and bits of papers and ribbon and paper doily, and backed with this vintage paper that you can write on, stitched all the way around in there. So the journal has over 100 pages, about 104, 105 pages front and back. And then there are a couple of notebooks as well that come with the journal, but I'll show you them as we go along. So there's, you know, I didn't count the pages in those, but there's plenty of journaling space. And what else do I need to tell you? There's 10 of my watercolor prints within each journal, as well as a few of these collaged and stitched tags and some vintage images as well. So the first page is a scan of one of my collaged pages, and I backed it with some tea-dyed paper and stitched all the way around. And there's this pretty little tag that's been collaged with different things, some lace, and yeah, you can write on the back. I'm going to need to speed up, aren't I, because I've got 2 whole journals to show in this video. Another collaged and stitched tag, that's that banana paper right on the back with the vintage paper, some parchment paper there. One of my watercolor prints. This is caddy paper, it's handmade paper, and with a tea-dyed lace border. An envelope with a tag inside with a bit of fabric on the end and stamped on the front. This is bound into the book, the envelope. This is vintage paper, vintage image. Some of these, yeah, this one's backed with lined paper. This is a notebook I was given from the 1940s. This is some of the paper from there, and it's stitched all the way around. One of my watercolor prints. And this is a collaged pocket. It's not a scanned image this time, this is the actual collaged page with fabrics and stitching and paper doily there, and just some of this waxed petal paper, and it's the whole length of the page pocket, and then there's this another stitch tag in there with bits of fabric and paper, and you can write on the back, so that lives in there. And it's got a calico tab there. This is one of my watercolor prints. I love how that turned out, that tea dyed. Middle of the first signature. There's 3 signatures in this book. A vintage image there. And this one's back to some of that lined paper as well. A bit of fabric on there. And this is a scan of one of the tags I made quite a while ago. I found it on my laptop, so I printed it. I got this idea from Rachel, Roxy Creations. And I just stuck something on there, then did more stitching around the edge and added this lace on there. I won't bother putting everything back, we'll be here forever. The other side of that envelope, the caddy paper with the lace trim and fabric on there. And that's the end of the first signature, the other side of that stitched tag. Now this is something that I was playing with, and each journal comes with one of these. It's like a what should I call it? A conglomeration. I can't even say the word. Conglomeration of envelopes. A combination of envelopes. That's simpler, isn't it? And I was just playing about with making it into this kind of thing. I'm sure somebody somewhere has made one of these. I just was playing around with different ways of layering envelopes and came up with this. And so each journal has got one of these. I'm going to do I won't call it a tutorial. I won't grace it with the name tutorial. I'll call it a craft with me or something, process of how I made these. But anyway, it opens up like that. So there's an envelope bit in there, and there's an envelope bit in there, and then there's a tuck spot there. Yeah, and then there's a pocket there with this pretty tag on rag paper, on caddy paper. There's this beautiful fabric, and then it's the same, so then that opens up, and then it's the same on the other side. There's a tag in there. This is some watercolor paint on watercolor paper, and that opens up again, and then you have another pocket envelope there, an envelope there, and a tuck spot there. And then on the inside, let me just put this back, you know, tie it back. I won't do it now, it's going to take too long. There's another tuck spot there, and then a writing space there, and then loads of writing paper which I stitched onto there. This is vintage paper as well. And so that's that. Phew! So that comes with the journal. And then, what's he going to show you around? The second signature, let me put that to the side. It's got a tuck spot here that's made of fabric. And then another idea I was playing with, I was really pleased with what happened here with my experiment. You open that up and there's another little hidden journaling, teeny little cute journaling spot in there, which makes me very happy. And you button that back up there, and then there's a tuck spot. And this is this is the cover of some vintage music paper. I really like the color. It tied in with the color scheme of the journal, so I've put that in, and that's one of the stitched tags. Good, we're still recording. My battery's very low, so I'm trying to get this done. So that's that one. And then the other side of the music paper is plain, so you can journal on it, and it's just got a vintage image there, backed with some vintage paper. A tip in there with this beautiful fabric, old music paper. That was plain on the back as well, so you can write on there. Some more tea dyed paper, a vintage image. One of my watercolor prints. Watercolor paper, which I was playing with. This is really nice paper, and actually this is a sample from a class I did last summer, and they were talking about granulation of watercolors. Anyway, I just really love the way that looks on the page and the actual paper. It's really, really nice paper. This is some petal paper there. Middle of the second signature, some more of that petal paper. Another sample from the watercolor workshop, one of my watercolor prints, a vintage image there, another stitched tag. I love this one, I love how that turned out. Watercolor print, music paper with a pretty little ruffle on there. This is a tuck spot, various things stitched on, another tag that lives in there, the other side of that music paper cover. Now this is another couple of extras that come with the journal. This is a mini notebook which has got just lots of scrap bits of paper in. Oops, that's the front, and that's the back. And then this is one of the envelopes. I've done a craft with me video with this envelope showing how I made it. Yeah, so there's a pocket on the front there. There's a pocket there, and then you turn it over and it's an envelope. You can, there's some pretty little cluster of things, paper and a little bit of fabric. I'll put that aside. Third signature, this is some scrapbook paper. This is Stamperia, I think. Watercolor print, vintage image, another scanned in collage page, stitched round and back with tea-dyed paper. A tip in there with the doily and various bits of fabric. An envelope, stitched tea-dyed envelope just with some paper in there. Some vintage paper. Oh yes, and it folds out like that. This is one of my watercolors which I made big and printed out, and I really like how it looks big on the page, and that's the other side, and this is the actual image which is a watercolor print. Yeah, I really like how those two things look on the page. Some old music paper, middle of the third signature, a tuck spot here with some fabric and papers, another of my watercolor prints. The other side of the large watercolor print there, another watercolor print there. As I say, you get 10 of these. A collaged scan of my collage page there, and that's the back. So you get quite a lot with this journal. You get yeah, watercolor prints and extra notebooks and extra envelope bits and all sorts. I've really enjoyed putting these bits together and making them as well. So that's the first journal. So that will be, I'll list that as the first one, journal 1. And this is journal 2. Very similar, like in terms of content, but the covers are different. So the front of this one, again, this one has got quite a lot of layers of different fabrics and doilies and laces. There's a doily there and some fabric, and then the back is it's just all the fabric. There's no pocket on the back on this one, and then there are 2 stitched tags with fabric and layers again of doilies and laces, and you can write on the back. I love how these turned out. They're so pretty. There's a closure here which is made with ribbon and lace stitched together. I don't know if you can see that. There's a layer of ribbon underneath, and then there's a teeny band of lace on there, and then that opens up like that. Okay, there's going to be a bit of shadow, I think, because I'm filming this at a different time and I'm using different lighting. This is the inside cover. Now the inside cover of this one, again, is a vintage napkin. This is really pretty because it's got a bit of embroidery there, and this lovely, I think that you call it a scalloped edge or something. And it's the same on the back. And this is the front pocket with that lovely fabric again, and a lace trim there. Again, there are 5 envelopes to go with the watercolor prints, and then this tea dyed envelope. Oh, it's got something inside with yeah, just some bits, extra pretty bits to write on. And then there is a pocket on the front, another of those embellished envelopes. This turned out so pretty, and this tag is from some scrapbook paper. So it lives in there. Go that way so you can see the rows. Now again, this is a scan of collage, also a tuck spot there, and then this opens up, this pretty little button area here opens up, and then there's another little journaling space in there. That turned out really nice, and then there's just pretty fabric there, and then you close that up and it's a tuck spot. So I'm really pleased with this idea. It is a tad bulky, but it's okay because it's right at the beginning, and this paper here is quite sturdy. So that's backed with tea dyed paper and stitched around the edge. One of my watercolor prints, a vintage image there on a stitched, made into a stitched tag, and that's backed with that vintage lined paper, scrapbook paper, caddy paper with a lace trim, another of my watercolor prints, vintage image. There's a tuck spot here with fabric and papers and lace with a vintage image tag. That watercolor image that made big, and that's the middle of the first signature with a watercolor print there. I like how all that looks together. That's the other side. This is a flip out with a collage with different things, a postcard from Tsunami Rose, and fabrics and papers there. And there's some pretty rose fabric on the back of that. The other side of the caddy paper and lace, another of my watercolor prints. This is one of those collaged and stitched tags. I love this one. I love them all, to be honest. They all turned out, each one is different, but each one is unique, but turned out really nice. Another of my watercolor prints. Vintage image tag. The other side of the collaged page. Now this is the another of those envelope thingies. I did the closure different on this one. On the other journal, the closure is individual for this bit and this bit, whereas for this one I just did one closure for the whole thing. I was just trying to see which would work better. So that's that one. It opens up again like before, your envelope in there, and then there's all collaging and things. There's a tuck spot there, envelope in there, a pull-out tag there, and that opens up again to, there's a tuck spot there and lots of writing paper. And that's the fabric on this one, really nice. And that's the back. Again, there's a pull-out tag there, and then the two envelope, the tuck spot there, the two envelope bits there and there. So that's that one. Let me put that to the side. Beginning of the second signature is an actual collaged page. I didn't scan this one in. It's the original one. There's a little bit of journaling space there, and even in there if you wanted to. And then there's a pull-out tag there with more collage. So you can journal on the front of this one and on the back. Tip up with some more of that lovely fabric. This is a tag I made in one of my Craft With Me videos. I made this one actually on Valentine's Day, and so it's got love and a cherub. And you can write on the back. Another of my watercolor prints. Now this is an actual book page or magazine page from February 1929. I put it in because it's still the month of February, and it's just got some nice adverts there and there, and then there's a tuck spot here with some fabric and lace and paper and another stitch tag. This one turned out really pretty, and I love the way it goes with its tuck spot with the same fabric. Another stitched tag here, right on the back. That's the other side with the vintage image tag. Middle of the second signature. This is flip out, so you can, lots of journaling space on the front and the back. The other side of the book page, another tag here. This one is a scanned in tag which I printed out and then did more stitching on, stuck that and then stitched on some lace, and you can, it's got this lovely textured paper on the back you can write on. Another of my watercolor prints. Flip up with a few layers of fabrics there. And these are the two extra other bits. So this is a notebook with a cover that's made up with lots of stitched elements, fabric and paper, and then just more journaling space on the inside with different bits of papers there. And then this is another of those envelopes. So there's a tag that pulls out there, tag that pulls out there, another tag that pulls out there. You can write on the back of that. And yeah, just collaged pocket. Oh, and there's a tuck spot on the back as well, this one, with a bit of that vintage napkin that's the inside cover of the other journal, and some more bits in there. So these envelopes are very interactive. Scanned collage page there, stitched onto tea-dyed paper. Another watercolor print. This paper is old as well. This is vintage paper. Another watercolor print. Some petal paper. An envelope. This one's empty and it folds out like that. Some pretty lilac paper. Old music paper. This is vintage paper as well. Tea-dyed paper. Another collaged page. And that pulls out, so that's the actual collage page, not a scan, and that folds out like that. A pretty fabric ruffle, a watercolor print there, some petal paper, and that's the end, and that's the other side of the vintage napkin. So yeah, I'm gonna list, these two journals will be listed in my shop today. You may be able to tell from the change in lighting that I filmed this video in bits. I filmed bits of it yesterday and I filmed the rest of it today. But I'm going to finally get them listed, and then I have 2 or 3 smaller rose journals that I've almost finished as well. So thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if this was a long rambly video, but I hope you enjoyed seeing what I've been up to, and I shall see you soon. Lots of love. Bye bye.